She says, why is it permissible to marry one's cousin if science disapproves of it, or at least this does not recommend it, due to the possible genetic diseases that may be caused of such a marriage? Firstly, Islam is a divine religion. It is from Allah Azza wa Jal. And generally speaking, it does not go against science. But throughout the years, we've discovered that science is not always right. And so many theories that come up only to be proven after a few decades that they're totally bogus or wrong. And the theory of evolution is one of the closest and simplest ideas of its how bogus people are and how atheists mess up with people's minds, claiming to be scientific when it's baseless and ridiculous even. But this is not the time to address such an issue. Therefore, when science comes and says cousins must not get married to one another, we do not look at science and neglect our own religion. So we look in the Quran, it doesn't say anything about that. We look into the Sunnah, there's no prohibition, none whatsoever about that. On the contrary, we find that the Prophet himself, alayhi salatu wasalam, married his cousin, Zainab bin Jahsh, the mother of the believers, may Allah be pleased with her. If there was anything wrong, he would not have done that. Or Allah would have told us that this is not recommended. Not only that, he gave his own daughter, Fatima, to his own cousin, Ali ibn Abi Talib. And they have the best of families existing till date, with so many offsprings of theirs, healthy and sound. He also gave Zainab, his own daughter, the daughter of Muhammad, to her cousin, Abu al-As ibn al-Rabi'. And they were all their maternal cousins. So the whole of Islamic history has nothing against cousins marrying one another. So when science comes and says, oops, this is not recommended, this is not permissible or advisable, we, with all due respect, throw it in the dustbin. They say, oh, you will be responsible for any genetic diseases that come. Well, we've seen total strangers marrying from the East and the West, having children with genetic diseases. So this is not a criteria that you can judge by, and this is why we ignore it. Second question of Mahwish, a homosexual who is unable to satisfy his wife, would it be permissible for him to get married? The answer is, if he's impotent, meaning that he's unable to fulfill his wife's desires due to his impotency and incapacity and ability to do so, in this case, he's not permitted to get married unless he gives the family he's getting married to a heads up. So before they proceed, he would go and say, listen, guys, this person proposing is impotent, cannot fulfill his wife's sexual rights. He cannot do that. If they accept, okay, this is okay. This is her choice, her preference. But if not, then it is not permissible for him to conceal that and to hide his deficiency and not tell them. That he's in his 4th year of uni and he has 1 year to go. He met a girl, he wants to get married to her. His parents refuse and they insist that he graduates first. And I've asked him, can you afford to get married? And he said, no, I don't have enough money to get married. So I said to him that, what can I do for you? So he replied by saying, can we get the marriage contract done without consummating the marriage? Of course you can. As a man, you don't need the permission of your father and your mother. You don't need the permission of your guardian, because men don't have guardians. The permission of the guardian is only required if the woman's guardian is there. So it takes two to tango, as they say, without music. Of course, music is haram. They have to be mahram or spouses. So let me go back to the topic. It takes two approvals for marriage of a woman: her consent and the consent of her father, who is her guardian usually. Without one of these two consents, the marriage is invalid. So if the father says, I will get you married tomorrow to XYZ, he's a good man, and she refuses, the marriage is invalid. And if she comes and says that I want to marry my colleague or my friend or my neighbor, and the father says no, you cannot marry him, the marriage is still invalid. So it takes two to get this marriage done, of the two approvals. For you, if you propose to the family of the girl and the father says, yes, I have no problem in doing the marriage contract without consummating the marriage for a whole year, so that you guys can see one another and have halal relationships without falling into haram, and communicating and talking is halal because she's your wife, there's no problem in that, none whatsoever.